Hey guys, I'm Shane Smith, the owner of Genesis Offroad, and in this video I'm going to give you a detailed look at how to install the dual battery kit for the RZR 1000. Okay, first things first, let's take a look at what all comes in the box and make sure we've got everything. This bracket is for the accessory battery. This bracket goes onto the cranking battery, and you got your bag of hardware that has everything that you need in it. So the kit comes with everything you need. All you got to do is add the batteries. So let's take a look at the batteries and get those set up first. We've got a set of excess power batteries here. This is their PS550. It's very, very similar to the Odyssey PC925. So this is a popular option. So we'll set the batteries right here. Grab your SAE post clamps. Let's open these up. The orientation of these batteries fit down into the RZR. The accessory battery will fit in this orientation, and then the cranking battery is going to fit in this orientation. So first thing we want to do is get our posts attached to the L brackets. So on this battery right here, there's not enough room for the post to go directly on the side of the battery like this. So we've got to bring them up to the side with this little adapter. So these are really nice post adapters. They have a hex head bolt already inside of there, so you can see the thread sticking out at the bottom. So we're going to attach this bracket in this orientation like this, and use your Allen wrench to hold that down there in place while we put a lock washer and a nut on there. Now we want to spin the L bracket so that the flat part of the L bracket is against the flat part of the post, like this. Then we're going to take a 10mm wrench, hold that still, and we'll get it all tightened down. Just like that. There's the first one. Do the same thing for the positive post. Okay, there's our second one. Make sure the L bracket is lined up flush against the back. So we're going to install these onto the battery. Now keep in mind, you can tell the difference which one is positive and negative. The negative post is slightly smaller diameter than the positive one. Also, the negative one has one serrated stripe around the middle. The positive one has two stripes. So make sure you get those in the correct position. Okay, so we'll do the negative first, the one with the one stripe. Take another bolt and lock washer right through here. It goes right into the battery. And now for the positive. Okay, you just want to snug those up. You don't have to go all gorilla tight with them. That'll be just fine. All right, this one's done. We'll set it aside. Same thing for this one. This one doesn't need any L brackets. The post will sit right on top. All right, we're done with the batteries. Now let's move on to start disassembling the RZR. Okay, all we need to do over here is just remove the seat and remove the stock battery. Okay, so under the seat, here's your stock battery, your negative and your positive. You can see on this one, the owner has already installed an aftermarket harness for running a little power and ground bus bars up under the hood. So that's this wire and this wire right here. You pull this back, pull this little insulator back, and you can see this hooked up to the battery post clamp. So we're going to get all this out of the way. Okay, now we're going to use a T30 star bit to take that factory bolt out of over here. Make sure you keep this, you will reuse that later. Okay, you really want to make sure this battery compartment area is nice and clean so that the lid sits down on there and everything lines up flush. If you got a bunch of mud and debris down in there, it may cause the battery to sit a little high, then your lid won't sit down on there nice and snug. So we're going to clean all this out real quick. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set our accessory battery down in place. Now that we got everything out of the way, this will fit right down in here. And we're just going to deal with one battery at a time. We don't need the cranking battery over here yet. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay, here's our lid with all the components on it. We're just going to drop this right down in place on top of the accessory battery. Okay. All right, you can see the post clamp goes on to the positive right here. All that should line right up. If you need to loosen this wing nut up so that you can rotate this in place a little bit, you can. The lid will fit in here snug from side to side, and you can move your battery around a little bit so that this clamp here will fit in there nice and easily. Okay, on our bracket, you've got a little bit of adjustment left to right to shift the lid back and forth this way a little bit. And then you also have some adjustability on the up and down. So this little tab on our bracket lines up with this factory cross member support here. And there's a hole that'll line up with our bracket. And then we'll take our small flanged head, serrated head bolt and nut, and we'll secure that right here. Okay, we've got a 5/16 head on this side. We'll push this wire down just a little bit out of the way. We got a 3/8 on this side. We'll just snug that down a little bit. Okay, next we'll reinstall the factory star bolt on this side. Again, don't go too tight on this. This is screwing into plastic, so it is easy to strip that out, so just be careful, don't over tighten that. Okay, now I'm just going to move these accessory wires back over here out of the way a little bit. Now your factory negative clamp is going to go in this orientation, and it's going to kind of go back in this back corner, or the front corner. We're going to move it to this front corner right here, and you're going to have to bend that wire around just a little bit into this position so it'll go down onto that post. Make sure that's all the way down on the post really good, right about like that. Now we want to tie in the ground wire that's coming from the negative bus bar and the long negative wire that goes over to the cranking battery's negative. And we're going to put all these onto that post. Come in from the back side of the post clamp. Put this one on first. Then put this one on here. And then snug it all down with the new shoulder nut. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use a 1/2-inch socket to snug down this bolt, but please be very careful. Remember, you've got 12 volts power right here at the positive, so make sure you don't accidentally short your wrench out on any of these positive connections. Okay, that feels pretty snug. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and snug down the post clamp on the positive. Again, you've got some metal pieces in here. Just be careful that you don't accidentally touch anything and throw some sparks down here. Just be very careful. All right, now you can go ahead and tighten up this wing nut. And now we're ready for the cranking battery. If we had to put the cranking battery in here first, it would have been really difficult to get to this nut right here. Just for safety's sake, I recommend running a few loops of electrical tape right through here, just to help avoid having this this post clamp accidentally bump this while under a bunch of vibration. You just don't want that shorting out on anything. Okay, so go ahead and put a couple of loops of electrical tape on here for a little bit of extra protection. All right, that ought to do it. Now we're going to get our positive post clamp ready to go. We're going to slide this insulator back so we can get a little bit better access here. Take your new longer bolt, run it in from this side, and go ahead and put one shoulder nut on here. And you don't have to tighten this up yet because the battery isn't in there yet. Just kind of snug that down like that. Then we're going to pull this insulator back up over this wire so that it will fit over there. And now we're going to take the extra wire from the side of the isolator. I've loosened this nut. This is a 1/2 inch nut on the side of the isolator. I loosened this up just so we have a little bit better flexibility here. So we'll tighten this back down in a second. Put this on the side of your bolt and take the extra shoulder nut and put that on there. Again, we're going to leave this all just kind of loose for the moment because we're going to need to get a wrench in here and tighten these up. So if we can just leave these loose like this for the moment. All right, we'll go ahead and drop our cranking battery down in here. Now we're going to take our positive post clamp. Again, route this wire kind of on this side of the isolator right over here so that it lines up nice and smooth. Push this down onto the post. Wiggle that on there a little bit. Again, notice I've got my insulating material kind of between the post clamp and this this cross member piece here. So I'm just going to kind of tuck this down out of the way for a second. Then I'm going to tighten up. I'm going to tighten up the inner nut first, and then I'll tighten down the outer one to secure this wire. Again, not necessary to get all gorilla tight, just make sure that post clamp is secured. I've still got a little bit of a gap here and that's perfectly fine. And now I'll slide this wire over, bring this one all the way to that nut, and then we'll tighten up this side. We'll go ahead and just kind of snug this down a little bit. Doesn't have to be super tight. It's not going anywhere. And we'll just kind of dress out this little insulating cap. There we go, and notice you got real good protection here against that little steel crossbar. Okay, now we'll set our cranking battery bracket in place. We'll make sure these boost button wires are moved out of the way. This side will tuck under the steel cross member on the front, and we'll put our bolt through the lid. Kind of hold this side up a little bit to get it positioned into the hole there, and we'll tighten that down. Again, we want to be careful that we don't over tighten that. This is some thick plastic back here, so you've got several threads holding that in place, but just be careful not to over tighten that. Now for the other side, we're just going to get this lined up nice and straight. Okay, now we're just going to run a 3/16 pilot hole through here. Okay, that's all it takes. And then we'll put our other bolt through here. Okay, now all that's left is hooking up our boost button. So we've got the two wires that are already attached to the boost button. We're going to run them under this cross piece here. The bullet connector, the purple wire, we'll just plug right into this purple wire coming off the isolator. Just snap that in there nice and secure. Make sure that's all the way in. And then you just kind of tuck this down here out of the way. Okay, so the power bus bar has a 9/16 nut on top. Take that nut and lock washer off. this connection right here on top. Put the washer, lock washer and nut back on there. Secure that back down. Okay, and then the ground bus bar uses a 1/2 inch nut. And we'll put the ground wire right here. Again, just snug it up. You've got a lock washer in there, so it don't take much. And the last thing we've got here is the cranking battery negative. So we're just going to bring that over, kind of route that right through here, and that should line up perfectly with our cranking battery. Again, that's a 1/2 inch to tighten that one down. That's good and secure there. Okay, that's it. We're all done. So now we got the seat back in, and now if you happen to end up with a dead cranking battery and you can't start the engine, you're going to reach right down beside the seat, hit the boost button one time, and that'll jump start you off of your second battery. You don't even have to get out of your seat. And I hope you found this video helpful. If I missed a step, let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us or at email is info@genesisoffroad.com, or give us a call, 901-214-5337. Love to hear from you. Thanks a lot.